Ravens Bengals. And it almost feels like a must win for both teams here. You want to go in as the Ravens and prove that you weren't the team that you saw in Baltimore against the Houston Texans, as we have talked about at length, even on Monday. Talked about how everybody looked rusty. Lamar Jackson hadn't played one down in a real game time situation. He even admitted on Twitter that he was rusty AF. And so this is going to be interesting to see how this game shakes out. Say it feels like a must-win game, but the Bengals went 0-2 last year as well. We know how that story ended for them. It's not everything's over if you go 0-2, but it makes it a lot harder for you to, especially in the AFC North, for you to get ahead. There is lots of pressure here. Who do you think has more pressure on this game, Ryan?
It's definitely got to be the Bengals. And not because I don't think that they're an extremely talented team, but with the fact with the Ravens and the continuity that they're trying to have with Lamar Jackson missed the majority of, the season, especially down the stretch, right? And then you have a new offensive coordinator trying to figure out your weapons. And on top of it, the Ravens are missing Marlon Humphrey. You're missing Marcus Williams, some of your guys in your secondary, and that's a strength for the Bengals. And they also have that continuity. Now, for Burrow, he missed a lot of time. So the fact that he missed time and missing practice reps, that matters. But they do have the continuity of Chase and Higgins and Burrow and Mixon. That offense has been together. And the other part of it, too, is, Brad, this game's at home for the Bengals.
Yeah.
So if you lose this game at home to Baltimore, that's something you got to keep in mind. You're going to have to come to Baltimore later, which I think will be advantage to Baltimore. I still think Baltimore has the ability to go and win this game. But if you look at their upcoming schedule, Brad, imagine starting 0-2. Yes, you should probably take care of the Rams. Going to Tennessee is not going to be as easy as you think, but then you still got to go to San Francisco. You got to play Buffalo. You got to go to Baltimore. It's going to become a little bit more challenging. So pressure-wise, I think it's on the Bengals. It's not by any means that they're going to be in trouble for the season per se, but to start out 0-2, and 0-2 in the division, I think is the biggest part here, Brad.
Yeah.
That's something, if it comes down to tiebreakers, you don't want to be on the outside looking in. And for the Ravens, you're going to be licking your chops because then you get another rookie quarterback the following week where they could be sitting at 3-0. So give me the pressure on Cincy.
Biggest key to this game, in my opinion, is going to be in the trenches. The pass rush of the Ravens is awesome. I mean, we saw that on display against Houston. They wrapped up C.J. Stroud as well. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because that offensive line of Cincinnati still looks porous. How they're going to answer the Ravens pass rush. If they do, I think that they're going to have a much easier time with the Ravens. But, as always, Jamar Chase is that X factor, and it seems as if Jamar has the Ravens number over the last couple of years. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. I do think that the Bengals do have more pressure than the Ravens to win here as well. But either way, it's going to be a fun game.
Texans' offensive line was missing some pieces, but you finally wanted to see a Ravens front seven look dominant with the pieces that you were hoping that you drafted, that you brought in, and they looked that part. They did. Yeah. Now it's, can you do it against a team that has even more weapons, a more experienced quarterback, and that's going to be the tall test. But that's a strength that the Ravens want to live on. I'm with you. But I will say offensively, the X factor for me is, can Lamar Jackson figure things out? Can the addition of Mark Andrews? But I'm looking still at Zay Flowers. I think he is really going to be a special wide receiver. And so why not, if you think he's the playmaker and he was having so many yards of separation in game one against the Texans, Zay balls out for the Ravens with Lamar and we see that connection, I think it's going to be a big reason for the Ravens to walk away with a W